It's an exciting day today. It's plush cleaning day. Today I'm going to show you how I clean my plush so they do not become damaged, how you can get stains out of plush quickly, easily, how I wash and dry my plush, including things with batteries. So let's just go ahead and get started. So have you ever gotten plush from the thrift store and it looks really nasty, well-loved? Or perhaps your kid has a plush that has just been around the block a few times, been a little well too loved, and they need a bath. Well, I'm going to show you how to revive it, make things look a lot more refreshed and clean, sanitized. So I do wash all of the plush that I get from thrift stores. Number one, you don't know where this stuff has been. Well, actually, we do know where it's been, and that's even more the reason why we are going to wash it. These things are nasty. They have baby spit on it. They have boogers, poop. We don't even know. We don't even know. Bed bugs, I don't know. It's sickening. So I do wash all of the plush that I sell. I do it before I list things because even if something does look clean, more often than not, once I get it under the lights to take pictures, I will see stains on it. So I just go ahead and wash everything from the get-go unless it is something that is new with tags. And then I'll either spot clean that or just sell that as is. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is sort our plush by stain level. So what I mean by that is, does it just have a surface level stain, or does it have something that looks like it's deep into the fabric and the plush? So the ones that have just surface level stains, those are gonna be the ones I go ahead and throw in the washing machine right away without pre-treating them. And the ones that have deeper stains or deeper levels of dirt, I am going to soak those first. If you are not sure, you can always soak them first. It's really my preference to soak everything first anyways, because a lot of times you won't see a stain on something, and after you wash it and dry it, that stain will bubble to the top and make your item look dirty again. So that's why you might put something into the washing machine and it comes out looking good, and then you put it into the dryer or you let it air dry and it looks worse than before. That's because your washing machine isn't getting deep into the plush and getting into the stuffing of the fabric. It's not sufficiently soaking it and pulling the stains and the dirt out. So I really do prefer to soak my plush first. You can use your bathtub, your sink, a bucket, whatever you have. I usually do a fairly good amount at once so I can conserve water and cleaner, but of course you can just do one at a time. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is sort out my plush by stain level. So something like this has got blue marker on it. I'm going to soak that. And then this, Lord knows what this is. It's going to get soaking because I have a feeling that there is a lot of dirt inside that plush. This dog looks like it's been in a dog's mouth. This one is hard to see, but if you look at it at an angle, you can see all the dirt in this, and that again is something that is going to come up in the wash, so I'm gonna go ahead and soak this one. So I have these in 3 separate piles by color, and the reason is things that are brown and black and primary colors or very saturated colors, those will bleed a lot. You'll have a lot of color that comes through with them, and we don't want that dye to get on our pastels or our white colors. So if you have a lot of plush that you want to soak, do not soak your brown plushies with like your pink plushies, because there's a good chance the dye from this guy will get on this one, and it's not impossible to take out. It's just another step that you'd have to take. Now let's say that does happen. What you can do is re-soak the one that has the dye on it in your OxiClean again with some carbonic color catchers, and then wash it through the washing machine, and then hopefully that'll get it out. You might have to do that a couple times. If you do dry this with dye from this guy, it's probably set there forever, and that's just how it is. And then things like that are brightly colored, like this BJ, again, this color is so saturated, it will bleed out. And again, you don't want this yellow dye or this purple dye to bleed all over Snoopy. That would be the Easter Beagle. We're not making the Easter Beagle. All right, so our electronic plushies, yes, you can wash these. Be careful though. What the first thing you're gonna do is remove the batteries from these plushes. Okay, once you've removed the batteries, go ahead and close it back up and it can go in the pile of the plush, the correct ones. This can go in with the pastels. And you might have some plush like this that have a completely removable battery pack. Obviously, go ahead and take those out and put that to the side. A lot of the Fisher-Price nighttime toys, they do have the removable battery packs also, which makes it super nice and super easy to wash. And this one's pretty bright colored, so I am gonna put it with the very saturated colors. For right now, all of our plush that does not need to be soaked, I'm gonna go ahead and put to the side. Okay, the plush that does need to be soaked, I am going to create an extremely hot bath for it. And we are going to soak that plush overnight. Yeah, you want scalding water, hot as you can get from your tap. OxiClean, any version that you want to use, any of these oxygen cleaners, that's fine. So let's go ahead and draw the bath. Now I'm going to let that run until it gets really hot, and then I'm going to put the stopper in. Okay, that is getting extremely hot, which is great. I'm going to go ahead and put the stopper in. Then we're going to add our OxiClean. Now I just eyeball this. Do whatever you feel is right with the Lord. I don't know that you can really mess it up. The worst thing that I've seen happen is that colors will fade. So it's better to use a little bit and re-soak it again than to use too much and have your colors fade. That's something that happens more on the saturated colors. It's not really a concern on the whites or the pastels. Also, another warning, if you have something with a paper vintage style tag, there is a pretty good chance that this writing will come off when you soak it. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I think it really depends on how old the ink is and how old the tag is. If that is a concern for you, what you can do is cover this with painter's tape, front and back, and kind of get a good seal on that. And then hopefully that'll protect it and keep the ink on there. I personally never have done that. I just soak it as is, and what'll be will be. Another note, this entire video is for your information at your own discretion. Could you ruin things? Yeah, possibly. But some things are really dirty, and I'd rather clean them and send them off to a new home really dirty. And I've personally never had anything that was like worth a life-changing amount. So it's been worth it for me to try to clean it than to send somebody something dirty. Of course, if you have something that's worth $200 or $300 and it's dirty, you might just want to sell that as is or just keep that as is. So this isn't for your precious plush. This is for a plush that kids are going to be using again, and you want it to be clean for them. Something else we're going to do before we add our plush in is we're going to add these Carvana color grabbers. There's also the Shout color catchers. Either one of those works great. So what these do is they will absorb any excess dyes that comes out in this water. I use these every time I wash clothes in the washing machine. You can reuse these sheets over and over again until they become saturated by the color. So like this one has been used. You can tell it's been used, but it's still got a decent amount of white space. That can be reused probably one more time until it looks pretty grody. Then you toss it. You can get these pretty much anywhere and down the laundry aisle. I get these usually at Publix because they typically do a BOGO sale like every month, every other month or so. And there's always this $1 off coupon. And sometimes there's an Ibotta on them. So you can usually get these for like $1 a box after the deals. So I always stock up on those because I go through them like crazy. And because you can reuse these, there is no such thing as using too many. I just throw them in there like confetti, like I'm Rip Torn. Caution to the wind. Again, they're reusable until they look nasty. So it's better to have more than you need in this bath than not enough. Because again, we don't want our dye getting onto our other plush. Okay, as this is going, once you've got that mixed up, you can go ahead and start throwing in your plush. You don't have to have this completely full yet because the amount of plush is going to determine how full you want it. You just want the water to cover everything. Okay, let's say you have something you want to spot clean. So like this guy has got a lot of red around his eye. Looks like he had a case of pink eye. These are the two cleaners I like, either this Tide Rescue or this Carvana Stain Scrubber. And then even if I use that Tide, I do like to use the brush from the Carvana Stain Scrubber to scrub that in. So I'm going to let this set and I'm going to put it to the side until all of my plush is ready to go into the washing machine. Now, of course, you could just soak this also. This is just an option. I prefer to soak. I feel like it's a lot easier than spot treating things. Okay, again, we want to put our brown plushes not with our pastel friends. They're going to go separately. So I'm going to put them in a bucket. This one you could tell has been around the world. It's been used many, many times. Okay, let's say you didn't have OxiClean or you didn't want to use OxiClean. This is another product I use. It's the Clorox 2 for colors. Not a bleach. This would do basically the same thing as OxiClean does. So same thing, I'm going to use my bucket, and actually I'm going to just stick it in my sink here, and it's going to help push these other plush down, and it can just all kind of hang out here and have a little fun party. I'm still going to throw these color catchers in because I don't want any more of this brown to end up on his, what is supposed to be a white belly. Throw a couple of those in there, and then I'm going to put my Clorox in there. Okay, as this is filling up, what you can do, you can use a handy dandy tool. I have these barbecue tongs and push things down, mix it around, make a fun little witch's brew. And look, you can already see some of the nastiness coming up. Like, do you see this brown spot right there? Look at, that's coming from that patchwork bear that I said you couldn't really see. But unless you looked at it to the side, yes, that's disgusting. Sickening. Okay, and I have another bucket going for our extremely colorful plush. They're going to go separately. Again, everything is basically in this one sink, but in separate buckets. You can also do this in your tub or in like a Rubbermaid bucket, bin outside, whatever you got to do. Or if you have like a top-loading washing machine, you could soak in there. That's another idea. I have a front-load machine because I cannot reach inside to a top-load machine. So that doesn't work for me. This is what I have to do. So another note, if you have plush that has vinyl on it and it looks already peely already, I do not wash that because it will completely flake off. Or if it's like a foil finish, like a gold or a silver kind of foil, I also try not to wash those, especially if they are old and already showing signs of wear. 9 times out of 10, that coloring is going to be completely gone after you wash it. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you wash it on cold, rinse it, whatever. It's just super susceptible to coming off if it's even looked at. Okay, so there is our plushy soup, all nice and disgusting. I like to let this set overnight. Or several hours, like all day, 8 to 12 hours before I wash it. So that's when the water gets cold, and then we'll go to step 2. Okay, it is the next day. This stew has marinated overnight. Let's take a good look at it. Okay, it's actually not too horrible and too disgusting. I don't know if you can see that there is a decent amount of brown in here, but I have definitely seen this worse. I've seen it where it just basically looks like mud water. This isn't too horrible. So we're going to go ahead and drain this and put it in the washing machine. And then we have our buckets of brown. You can see these sheets have a little bit of brown dye in it. Not too horrible, but again, we put those in there so it doesn't end up on our plushies. So we're going to go ahead and drain that out also. And I am saving the sheets to go into the washing machine next. I'm just kind of letting that all drain down and get a decent amount of water. And then we have our colorful ones. I may have to redo these again. I'm not sure because this one stuffed animal took up a big amount of the bucket. I'm not sure how well BJ and Baby Bop got clean, but we'll check them on where they're done washing. Then I'm going to use my bucket to put a few handfuls of plush in here because these are very heavy when they are wet, and I also don't want to drip this all over my floor. So we're just going to load up our bucket and bring it to the washing machine. She's still got some staining on her, but that may come out in the washing machine. If not, she'll go for another round. Like I said, that bucket was a little too full. And yes, I am going to wash the ones with the battery pack in them. Okay, if you have something that you don't want to get super bounced around on, like I have these plastic shoes, they They seem like they're in pretty good condition, but I'm going to try to preserve this paint on it. Don't want it to get bounced around too much. You can use a mesh laundry bag or a pillowcase and tie it shut. You can also use these mesh laundry bags or do the pillowcase trick if you have something with like plastic eyes that you think might get, that are a little delicate or you think might get scratched around on the inside of your machine. I usually fill up my machine pretty well, so there's not a whole lot of bouncing around room. So it's not like it's playing ping pong in there. So this is going to be pretty full. So I typically don't worry about that. But if you do have something that's more like a translucent eye and it's not like necessarily black and you will see scratches on it, then definitely you want to protect those eyes. Then I'm going to add the rest of the plush that I have that did not need to be soaked. Okay, this is a great time to also wash baby blankets. You can soak these the same way as you did the plush, spot treat them the same way, and if they don't need to do all that, just throw them on in. They're also good fillers if your machine isn't full to get those clean too. Now we're going to set our machine. You're going to do it on a delicate cycle if you have it, or hand wash. They're labeled different things on different machines. Then you can set your soil level at normal. Always put it at cold or tap cold. And then your spin on low or medium spin. Don't do it on the high. The medium spin will get out more of the water out of the plush. And then we're going to turn that on. Now it is important that you do use cold water because some of these plush actually have plastic fibers in them, especially things that have hair on them. They're like a furry texture like that singamajig. And you do not want that to melt in here, so that's the reason we use cold water. Our plushies are done in the wash cycle. As I am taking them out, I am going to make sure that they are stain free. If they still have stains, they're going to go back to the beginning and get washed one more time. I typically only give it a 2-round process. After the second time, if the stains don't come out, they're probably not going to come out, and it is how it is. Baby Bop, as I predicted, still stained. We're going to put her to the side. I am going to put to the side also any of my electronic plush. I'm not going to put these in the washing machine. They're going to go to the side. This one has some kind of stain, but it is on this graphic-y printed design, and that is probably not going to come off. I'm just going to go ahead and sell that as is. Electronic to the side. And then most of our color catcher sheets are still good. There's only a few that are pretty soaked and saturated, so these we can reuse again. When I wash Baby Bop, she's going to go in with these. Okay, most of these color catcher sheets are still perfectly usable. Only some of them are saturated, so I can reuse these again. And I'm going to reuse them when I wash Baby Bop. I also found a stain on this little fella, so I'm going to spot treat this. Okay, we've got all of our friends here in the dryer that are ready. This is very important information coming in for the dry process. I'm going to put it on delicate, time dry, and the reason I do timed dry is I want it to go for a certain time. If I just let it go to where it thinks it's dry, it usually stops way before then. And then I am going to change the temperature. Okay, I'm going to start off with the temperature on the lowest setting at air setting. And then I usually go for 45 minutes to an hour the first time, especially when I have a bunch in there. And that's just air fluff. I always start out at the air fluff because a lot of these plushies will get dry enough on that air setting. Do not ever use high heat on these, especially when you're using anything with the faux fur. Again, that is plastic. It will melt in there. So the first step with mixed loads, air dry only. If this comes out and some of them are still damp, we'll take out the ones that are dry enough. And then we will go around for round 2. So let's see what happens. These electronic ones, I'm just going to put to the side and let them air dry. The reason I don't let everything air dry is because it will take a while. I'm in Florida, and the humidity, it just takes too long. And I want to go ahead and get these ready. So just these 2 friends are going to hang out for the day. Then I'm going to retreat these other ones. And this will be the last go round on these. If these stains don't come out, it's probably because they have been dried with the stain on it. Alright, we're going to take a look at our plush that has finished its first round of drying, and most of it is pretty good to go. DW is all clean, ready for a new mommy or daddy to love her. Puppy no longer looks like he rolled in poo. And most of our tags are still pretty good looking. BJ's shoes, also great condition. Now let's say you have stuff that did not want to dry. What you can do is do that on the Delicate's time dry and put it on a very low time. I would start with like 5 to 10 minutes, and then you can do the first dot right after the air fluff, which gives it a little bit of heat. I really would not do the medium or anything higher than that. That's just into the danger zone there. But you could start off right here. If you have just one plush, do the 5 minutes. If you have more than that, start off with 15. Okay, so I had a little bit of success doing that second round. Almost all of the staining came out of Baby Bop. However, I still did have staining on this guy's foot. It's kind of hard to see. So yeah, some stains just will not come out, and that depends on usually what the kind of stain it is and if it has been dried since that stain was on there. Obviously, I don't know the history of this toy. I got it at the thrift store, so there's a good possibility the owner of this before washed it, dried it, that stain set in, and it's just not going anywhere. But it looks really pretty good. I mean, you can hardly even see it on there. Oh, and yes, our electronic plush does work. Okay, and I do have a few other tips for you. If after you've washed your plush, it comes out of the washing machine and it looks a little matted, a little bit more well-loved, what you can do is use a pet brush. This one I got at the Dollar Tree, and you can brush it out gently. And this guy, unfortunately, has been through the dryer. This is, again, a thrifted plush, but you can tell he's been through the dryer because his fur's a little melty looking almost. But brushing him up will fluff out his fibers a little bit better than before. See that looks a lot better. And then for plush where they have a lot of fur around the eyes, what I do is I use a toothbrush and then I brush gently around the eyes, and this won't scratch them or anything. And you just brush the fur out of the way. And you can see that really does make a huge difference on the appearance of your plush. This is really important, especially when you're taking pictures of things. So you can see the lovely blue eyes. We got a little Frank Sinatra here. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, please give me a great big thumbs up. If you're not already, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye!